Hey guys, today we're going to be looking at string to integer. So my first thought when doing this problem is, since we're doing it in Java, I was thinking, well, why not get the integer, determine what the integer is within the string, and then use %. on it. Okay, so that's my first intuition with this problem. Just use some kind of built-in functionality that Java provides. So let's actually try to figure out that way. So let's read the problem, and then we'll figure it out by using %. So we're gonna implement this function that converts a string to a 32-bit signed integer. The algorithm is as follows: read in and ignore any leading white space. Okay, so that's the first thing we're going to do. We're going to check to see if the next character is a negative or a positive sign. And that's going to determine if it's a negative or positive number. But, there may not be a negative or positive sign at all. Okay. Then we're going to read in the next characters until the next non-digit character or the end of the input is reached. Okay, so we need to keep on checking if whatever index we're using is less than the s.length. And we need to make sure that the char at index is actually a number. Okay, and then we're going to convert this string that we have now created into our number. Okay, if no digits were read, then the integer is 0, and then we're going to change the sign as necessary. So if the integer is out of bounds, we need to clamp the integer so that it remains in that range. So if it's about to go out of bounds, we're just going to say that the largest number is going to be integer.max value, and if it's on the negative side, then we'll say that the return value is going to be integer.min value. Okay, and basically that is all. Okay, so let's go ahead and see it in code. Actually, let's look at some example first. Okay, so let's look at this. Okay, so we have this. So the first step is we're going to be here at index of 0 within this string, and we're going to look at this white space, and we're going to say, well, I want to advance past this white space. And then we're going to come to this sign, and we're going to keep track of that sign because it's important. We need to know if the number is going to be positive or negative. And then we're going to get to this number, and we're going to start reading it in. Okay? And then we're going to have a string that is going to be equal to, let's say, 42 in this example. And then once we have the number isolated from the rest of the junk, and this could have had other words. Cods. Cods is cool, dude. Yeah. Code is cool. All right. So as long as it's a number, we're going to append it or add it to this string that we've created. And then once we get to a non-number, then we're just going to break from whatever loop we're using to get that number. And so we're left with this, and then at that point we're going to say, well, we want to convert this to a number. And our first intuition is to use integer.parseInt on this number. So we'll see how that goes, and we'll see if there's any way to make it a little faster. Okay, so let's look at, now that we've seen the example, let's look at the code. And so the first thing we probably want to check is if the length of the word is 0, because it says if it's not even a word, okay, if there's no word, then we should be returning 0, okay? So that's our first thing that we're going to check. If s.length is equal to 0, we're going to return 0. Okay? And then we're going to create this index because we need this index to kind of advance through this string. And then we're going to say while index is less than s.length and s.substring index to index, I guess we could use char at, but so index plus 1 dot equals okay, so if it equals a blank space, we're going to advance our index. All right. If it equals that that space, and then we're going to so we've gotten past all the white space now, and we're going to check the sign if there is a sign. So we're just going to create an int called sign, and right now it's going to be a positive. All right, positive 1, and we're going to say if index is less than s.length. We don't want to go out of bounds here. If, and I'm just going to take this because I'm using it. Copy. If, I think there's an issue here. Yeah. So if it equals a negative sign, then we're going to say, well, sign is equal to -1. And then we have to advance that index. So index plus plus. Else if, we're going to go ahead and, oh, I see a typo here. String. If it equals a positive plus sign, then what we're going to do is say index plus plus. So we've already set it equal to a positive 1. So I'm not sure why this is doing this. Anyways, so we're going to advance the index some more. Okay. And now that we've gone through and checked to see if there's a plus or a minus after the white space, what we want to do is start creating that result. So we're going to create that string called result. And right now it's going to be a blank string. Create this while loop that says while index is less than s.length and s.char at index is greater than or equal to 48. This is where the numbers start on the ASCII table. And s.char at index is less than or equal to 57. So this means that it is a number. So I believe there is a character dot is number, but I think I have to look at that. So this does the same thing. All right. So here we're just going to say result plus equals whatever that substring is. So we're going to say s.substring from index to index plus 1. And of course we're going to advance that index again. Okay, so this gets the number. And so what we want to do is first we want to check to see if there's even a number that was gotten. Okay, so that result is not still an empty string. So we're going to say if result.length is equal to 0. So if it's equal to 0, we're just going to return 0 here. All right. And what we want to do now is we're going to do a try catch. Okay, so we're going to try and parse this number. Otherwise, if an exception happens, we're going to return the max or min value. Okay, so here we'll just do our try. And we're going to say int dot res is equal to integer dot parse int result times sign. Okay, so we're going to try that, and we're going to return the result. And this should say int result. And then we're going to return that result. Okay, so hopefully everything works and this happens. However, maybe maybe something has happened. Okay, it can't parse the int, whatever. So exception E. This is just my first intuition of how to solve this. So I'm going to say if sign is equal to 1, we're going to return integer.maxValue. And here we're just going to say else integer dot min value. Okay, so let's run that, see what happens. Okay, malformed. Okay, so let's see here. I don't think I closed it off. Close off that substring. Close off that substring. And close off that substring. All right, so let's run that, see what happens. Okay, so while index is less than s.length and s.substring, may have a lot of those issues. Okay. Okay, so that looks fine now. And this is not JavaScript. We definitely need that semicolon. Okay, so return result. So here we're not dealing with result, we're dealing with res. So this could be number, res, whatever. And so I'll just say res. Okay, so runtime here was 0 milliseconds, but let's see what it does when we submit it. Runtime 6 milliseconds, and whatever. So these are pretty pathetic. But what we want to do is we want to say, the interviewer may say, well, this is not in the spirit of the problem right here, this %. Okay, maybe they don't want you to use %. So how do we go about it without using %? Okay, so how do we go about this? Now, so here we'll check the length, and now what we want to do is we want to get rid of all this jazz. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of this. Okay, so and what I'm going to do is I'm going to create the number instead of relying on built-in functions. Okay, so we're just going to say while. Actually, we need some new variables. So int I and num, and then we're going to say while I is less than result.length. Okay, and then we're going to say if num is greater than integer dot max value. Okay, too many typos. Integer dot max value divided by 10. So this means we are about to go over. Okay, so on this step, if we don't, follow this if statement, we're going to go over. All right. So that's all we're checking here is if we're about to go over. And so here we're just saying num is equal to by 10 and minus 0 is greater than 7. Okay, so if this is true, we are about to go over. So what we want to do is we want to say if sign is equal to -1, return the min value, else return the max value. Okay, so that takes care of are we about to go over? Okay, but if we're not about to go over, what we want to do is say num is equal to num times 10 plus the number we're about to add. Okay, so this is going to be, we'll just cast it to an int, and we're just going to say result dot char at I minus zero. Okay, and then this is not a string, this should be a char as well. Okay. And then we're going to say I to advance. All right. And so this gets us a num. If we don't go over and our num successfully is created, we want to, at this point, return num times our sign. All right, so let's just make sure that all this looks good, and it does. All right, so let's go ahead and run this, see if we have any issues. Getting pretty tired, so I'm pretty sure there's bound to be something here. Boolean cannot be converted to an int, so if num is greater than integer.maxValue divided by 10, or num is equal to integer.maxValue divided by 10, and int result.char at I minus this. Oh. Is greater than 7. And this should just be num. I don't even know what's going on in my mind right now. I'm just really tired. Okay, so This is passing. So here previously we had 6 milliseconds and 44. Here we have 6 milliseconds and 43. Okay, so there's not much of a difference, okay, as far as runtime. However, you may get that interviewer that says, okay, so you passed with the parse int, and we still have about 10 minutes. Can you think of a way of doing it without built-in functions? And so this is your way of doing it without built-in functions. All right, so there we go. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. And if you have any questions or comments, just leave something in the comments below. Otherwise, like and subscribe. It really helps this channel grow. I'm going to be doing all of the Grind 75 problems in the next few weeks. And I'm also going to be doing all the Microsoft and top Google problems. So top Google and top Microsoft problems that are not part of the Grind 75. So I'm looking at an additional, somewhere between 40 or 50 extra on top of that. And so I know there's a hiring freeze and hiring slowdown at a lot of the top tech companies. But if my chance is not in the next few months, it will be sometime in the future, and I'm going to be prepared. And if you join me on this journey, you're going to be prepared too, when they start to, open up hiring and, start hiring like crazy. So with that said, I am going to see you in the next video.